Hello and welcome to the Bearded Hammer YouTube channel. My name is Ian and we are here to talk about David Moyes and his inevitability of staying at West Ham through the World Cup break. Now, when we look at what's happening at West Ham, we have a season of change, and we'll get into that a little bit more, what I mean by that. But we're also having a diabolical season in the Premier League. If you take away the Europa Conference League, that's patching over the cracks a little bit, it's not going very well for David Moyes at the minute, and the general consensus is the fans want him out of the club. So I think what we need to look at first is where we are in the Premier League. So as you can see from this screen, we are sitting 16th in the table, 15 games played, 4 wins, 2 draws and 9 losses. Goal difference of -5, leaving us 1 point above the relegation zone, which is not ideal. That said, we have to try and look at some of the positives with this. If we string together a series of results, we could very quickly find ourselves up in 6th, being only 8 points behind Liverpool in 6th. So it's not the be-all and end-all. We do know we can play better football than we have been playing. But the criteria for football is results matter, and at the moment they haven't been good enough. And I think we would all be happy if we were sitting in this position, but our performances were top of the range. They haven't been either. So, I mean, as you can see, we've won one of our last 6, which is not an ideal bit of form. We got booed off in our last match. The last win we had in the league was... Oh, it's not even on there. So, when was the last win we had in the league? I do not know. Let's go back. 2-0 against Bournemouth. 24th of October, so almost a month ago, we had our last win in the league. What has contributed to the changes this season? So I think we have to look at our transfers. First of all, Mark Noble in the outs, he left. That's a big figure to leave the dressing room. He was the one who was gearing up the players and sort of enforcing the standards of training and things like that. That's a big force in the dressing room gone. Now he is coming back as a director of football, if I'm not mistaken, which may change things, but it's not going to be the same influence as what he had before. So he's gone. Arthur Masuaku, it's a bit of a mixed bag, really, isn't he? He'll have 2 good games a season, but he went. That's probably a good out. Same with Nikola Vlasic, is a good out. These are only loans with the options to buy, so we'll probably end up taking a big hit on Nikola Vlasic because he did cost us a fair chunk last season, but hasn't performed. Ryan Fredericks, we all know my opinions on him. Yarmolenko was again one of those who never really found the same form that he did before coming to West Ham, and when he played for Ukraine, he was a different monster. And Issa Diop, the centre-back that never really worked out. We should have sold him to Manchester United when Mourinho wanted him for £50 million, but that didn't happen. So that was our outs. In total, we were the 3rd biggest spenders in the Premier League, spending a total of, I think it was £130 million net. But we did bring in some really good signings, Lucas Paqueta being one of them. The Brazilian attacking midfielder has looked very good, but again, not hit the ground running. Same as Gianluca Scamacca, an actual out-and-out centre-forward, which is something we've been dying for ages. Has played really well in the Europa Conference League, not so much in the Premier League. Naya Fagerd got injured in pre-season against Rangers and never really recovered. He's played a couple of games in the Europa Conference League against Silkeborg. He looked really good, but they were lacking opposition. He's been caught out. He did against Leicester with that back pass. He did, against Blackburn with a back pass. But he's trying to build up some match fitness. He is going to the World Cup, so hopefully he gets a few games there, which means that he comes back fit and ready to play. Maxwell Cornet, one we're all excited about, has been out injured for a number of weeks now, we've seen flashes. But again, I think this is going to be a bit like a Ben Rama signing. He's not going to get on with Moyes. and it's going to take a long while to settle. Emerson, I think that's a waste of money, if I'm totally honest with you. T.O. Cahill, he, for me, has been the best signing so far. Just solid at the back. Plays right back as well from PSG for a reasonable cost. He's off to the World Cup, so that's fantastic. Flynn Dowes, again, another one that's taken a while to get into the first team, but is solid in midfield. And I know there's been a lot of calls for him to replace Souček in his entirety, and Areola, who is our number 2. So we've reinforced well, but we've lost that leadership quality in the dressing room. So we've reinforced. You can't blame the board. We've reinforced. They've spent the money. They've put their money where their mouth is for once. So in that side of things, where people say, well, it's the board's fault, it's nothing to do with the board. They have backed us fully in this endeavour this year to try and finish better off than we did last year and get back in that Europa League spot. So we have to look at the man in charge of the club. Now, I'm a big proponent of David Moyes. I don't think we should have got rid of him in the first place, which was apparent. We did bring him back. So we brought him back in the 1920 season, where he played 19 games in the Premier League. We won 5, drew 5, lost 9. So we'd lost as many games in 19 as we did the whole of this season so far. We've only played 15 games. But he did save us from relegation that year. The following year, he bought some more stuff, bought some players in, then instilled his values, and we had a phenomenal season, as you can see. 44 games in total, 23 wins, 8 draws, and 13 losses in all competitions. So we've almost matched that for losses this season in 24 games. You could take Europa League out of it because we haven't lost there. We're perfect. So that season, you could see it was a real proponent of us going forward, this hard-working ethic. Then we got in Europa League last year, which we did well in. We got to the semi-finals of, but I think towards the end of the season, it papered over a lot of the cracks. So as we can see, the FA Cup, 3 wins, or 3 matches, 2 won, 1 lost. Okay, it wasn't the be-all and end-all, was it? The Europa League, that semi-final run, that's our best points per game. 6 wins, 2 draws, and 4 losses in that entire run. The League Cup, we beat Manchester City. Then that can't be right, because we beat Manchester United. Then we went out to Tottenham really poorly. And the Premier League, yes, we pushed up the first half of the season. We were phenomenal, battling for 4th, and then we dropped off. And we dropped off in some way. 1.47 points per game in total there, which is not good. But this season, it has got even worse. 0.93 points per game. We have played 15. We've only won 4 games all season, drawn 2, and those performances weren't particularly good either. The League Cup, it's put us a draw there because it was a draw at 90 minutes. We lost on penalties there. That was again a poor performance. Blackburn never got out of second gear. And Europa Conference League, we won all of them. We got a couple of decisions go our way, but again, much lesser opposition in that competition so far this year. You can't deny that. So this season, in total, 1.63 points per game. He's won half of his games, and considering we've played 8 in the Conference League, that's not good enough. And we on average concede 1 goal a game. Now, let's go back to full screen, shall we? We know that we play negative football under David Moyes. We set up negatively. We look to stifle opponents and catch them on the counter somewhat, and we become sort of second half merchants. We start to be a bit more progressive in the second half and get back into games. And the bit that I don't understand, why are we not doing that from the off? And we have now the players in the team to be able to play like that. Scamacca, Paqueta, COYI, they've all come through systems in France, in Italy, where the possession-based football means that they can control the games and move forward in that sense. David Moyes has never really played like that. And this is the point where, as much as he's done for us and been good for us, maybe it is time to say thank you very much for what you've done, but now it's time for us to push on. Now, the reason that I believe we're not going to do that, and it's sort of been confirmed in the papers somehow from a source that West Ham are going to stick with David Moyes over this break, is at the end of the season, Gold and Sullivan can sell their stake in West Ham without financial penalty, and that was part of the deal for the London Stadium. I'm of the belief that they will go in the summer. They will sell their remaining shares to Krasinski. He will buy the London Stadium, and then we'll start to see some changes around the club. But at the minute, you have financially, they have to make a decision. They have to either sack Moyes and get rid of him and probably his staff, which is one lot of money. They have to bring in then a new manager, which is another lot of money. That manager will want at least 1 or 2 signings, which is more money, and you still run the risk of being relegated. If they stick with Moyes, when you look at what he's done for us as a club over the last few years, he's saved us from relegation. We've finished high up last couple of seasons. The likelihood of him getting relegated is low, I would say. Out of all the teams that are around, there was a lot of bad teams this year. We've got a good break to recuperate and come out swinging. But if we get relegated and they keep him, it doesn't matter, because that cost is then a lot lower than it would be if they sacked him now and we still get relegated. So that's why I believe we're going to keep him. What does he need to do, though, to stay on top, get the fans on side? Well, we've got one Saeed Benrahma. Let him run with the ball. Give him the freedom to play football. The same with Jared Bowen, Paqueta, Skamaka. Just go and play football. Have fun. Pass it around really quick. Keep the possession. Do what you like to do in the football game. Rather than be very negative, right, everyone's got to defend and bring back, and we've got one man up top which we're going to try and pass it to. No, be progressive. We have the better team on paper than, I would say, a good half of the Premier League at least. So you have to take form into that of some players. Yes, you have to take confidence settling in periods. I understand that. But when our technical ability is well above everybody else, then we should be competing for at least, I would say, top 7. The top 7 in the Premier League, that's not unreasonable. Even if you go, okay, we finished 8th, we're the best of the rest. But the way we're playing, that's never going to happen. We need to be more progressive. We need to be more in control of the ball. And he needs to actually take a look at himself and say, the way I want to play football isn't working at the moment. We need to look at a plan B, a plan C. Let's try and win these games from the get-go, not from 45 minutes. Let me know what your thoughts on David Moyes are in the comment section below. Make sure you're subscribed to The Bearded Hammer, and we'll see you very, very soon. Take care.